if you do not want to miss the best moments that come out of these raw, completely unplanned conversations that I have with these very interesting people, then make sure you subscribe to this channel, PGX Clips, and press the bell icon top so that you know the next time we post. Pull up a video, go to YouTube or Twitter, look up P. Chidambaram nuclear speech. That is a very interesting thing for a lot of people who are only conscious of their political realities starting the 2000s, let's just say, right? Because it's, I think, 1998, 1999, sometime around this time, 1997.
That's very long. Go to Political Kida and check his Twitter timeline. He's got the 2-minute long effective parts of that speech.
Political Kida. Now,
Kida, K-I-D-A. K-I-D-A.
K-I-D-A, bhai.
Not that one, not that one.
Not Kida, bro. It's Kida. Go, niche ra. Yeah, this one.
This one, yeah.
Now, help me understand this. Wait, before you play this, help me understand this without, like, genuinely help me empathize with this position, because this makes no sense to me. This makes no sense to me. My hypothesis is either the opposition politics in India is largely convenient, no matter the party, no matter the time. They just have to oppose everything the ruling party is doing. Or my hypothesis is that India lives in this Gandhian fantasy world and does not understand the reality of its own situation, the reality of the geopolitical armed conflict, or where the world is heading.
So let me...
Let's watch this first. Yes, please.
This.
Having invented a threat, the Prime Minister, backed by his Home Minister, comes and says, here is our nuclear bomb, beware the whole world, India now is a conquering nation. This is the worst service that you can do for India.
Actually,
what you have done,
there's a smaller video from this.
Create an axis,
I think,
as my friend
It's
Mr. Natwar Singh said, between the United States, China and Pakistan. China was no threat to India. The last war with China was fought 36 years ago. And the circumstances under which that war began and concluded are still surrounded in controversy. The last war with Pakistan was fought 27 years ago. Only in the last year, I was present when Prime Minister Gujral engaged Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, in 2 meetings, in New York and in Edinburgh. He engaged President Clinton in a dialogue, at the end of which President Clinton said, I understand your concerns, and I will visit you, and we will continue to talk about it. He engaged Prime Minister Tony Blair in Edinburgh, and when there was so much talk about Britain mediating, thanks to a junior minister's thoughtless remarks, Prime Minister Tony Blair quite candidly said Britain had no intention of mediating between India and Pakistan. And this was a bilateral issue. I was present when these dialogues took place, and I'm sure when he intervenes in the debate tomorrow, he will throw more light. In our judgment, and I say this with firm conviction, China was no threat on the 18th of March. China was no threat on the 19th of March. China was no threat on the 8th of April. China was no threat on the 11th or the 13th of May. You have invented a threat in China.
Can you go down? Did it capture what you were looking for it to capture?
Yeah. So let me explain this. I think this particular part of the speech has been taken out of context. And I'll tell you why. Chidambaram is no man's fool. This is the guy who essentially started up the Balochistan insurgency and ran it much more successfully than this government has done. Chidambaram's point here, as I understood it, was that you should have never named China publicly. It is not that China was not a threat. I could be wrong, but that is what I had understood when I heard this speech at that point of time. He certainly, because Vajpayee wrote to Bill Clinton, who was always an unreliable. He was as unreliable politically as he was sexually. In that case, every country around him was essentially Hillary Clinton being cheated on.
Love it.
Yeah,
exceptional
basically.
Sense of humor.
And nobody knows. I mean, almost every single one of the monologues he used to give from the White House, there were 2 people. It's just that the second person wasn't visible out there.
Okay.
But,
yes. Go on.
That's true.
Yeah.
So To that man, Vajpayee shouldn't have written that the rationale for the test was China. This was something to be said, it was not something to be written. At least that's how I've heard Chidambaram explain it in private at different things. Could be wrong. Maybe he said what he did. But China, let us be very clear, has always been a threat. Okay? Now, I also want you to understand that the person who made all the preparations for the test was not Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It was Narasimha Rao. It was Narasimha Rao when Chidambaram was very much in the government, was in the Cabinet Committee on Security and acquiesced to those tests. It is just that the American satellite overflew our testing range and they came and presented, I think at that time the ambassador was Frank Wisner. He came and presented the evidence to Narasimha Rao and Narasimha Rao called off the test. Because India at that point was in no position to go test because remember 1991 was an economic crisis. He would just come out of it 4 or 5 years earlier. He wasn't willing to test the waters at that time. But because the Americans showed us the satellite intel, we have a satellite program of our own. Our scientists knew exactly. ISRO talked to AEC, Atomic Energy Commission, and between the two of them, they figured out exactly what the time frame was when these satellites would pass over. So when we tested in 98, we knew what time not to do the preparation. So we knew exactly how to hide the preparations for the test, which we did, right? But Vajpayee was just carrying on Narasimha Rao's policy. This is just a policy speech for the sake of a policy speech.
I see. So this is presentation.
But there is something very worrying out here. It could have probably been worded much better because this particular speech shows Chidambaram to be quite naive and gullible.
Right, very pacifist.
About international security, which unfortunately has become the reality of the Congress party today.
I see what you mean.
Neither was Rajiv Gandhi like this, neither was Indira. Rajiv Gandhi and Indira Gandhi were consummate players of international realpolitik.
Got it.
I know for a fact this is not Chidambaram.
Got it.
He is
This is not his
very
private
smart.
views.
This is absolutely not his private views. I can assure you of that. This man is absolutely cold-blooded when it comes to killing the enemy. He wouldn't think twice about launching a nuclear weapon.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
I see what you mean.
This is performative for the public.
Right.
There is also the issue that in this country, security is not taught to politicians. Security is an unsexy subject. In the West, if you want a politician to give attention to your pet project, you just add security. This is why we started calling things environmental security, water security, human security. You add security to it, immediately the politician takes notice of it. Why? Because you've achieved all your roti, kapda, makan goals. You're no longer, people aren't going hungry, people have healthcare, they have houses. Nobody is on the brink of, nobody is going to die untreated. Nobody is going to die of starvation. Nobody is living without a house unless you choose to be homeless and things like that, which people do sometimes. That isn't happening. So security is this thing. Here you have much more pressing concerns. 200,000 people die every year in car crashes in India. That is, every year more people die in India from car crashes and TB. 200,000 people in car crashes, 200,000 people in tuberculosis, or maybe even more, maybe 300,000-400,000. That is more than all your wars put together so far.
Interesting.
Maybe even for the last 100 years, you haven't lost, even in World War I and II combined. We didn't lose as many Indian troops as we lose every year in
Car crashes and TB.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
Okay. You add 3 years, add 10 years worth of car crashes and TB. You've lost more people than you did during the Bengal famine. So you want to go after the British for the Bengal famine? Sure, be my guest. But then accept responsibility for all the car crashes for which you're doing absolutely nothing and the TB for which you're doing absolutely nothing. Okay. Now, I can tell you this is not Chidambaram. Indira Gandhi was very clever and calculating. She rejected her father's pacifist views, his Fabian, his honestly quite naive views of the world. This sounds like the speech was written by Nehru.
I can see that.
And it is not Chidambaram. Because Chidambaram's mentors were Indira Gandhi and especially Rajiv Gandhi, who were not like that. Indira Gandhi then ordered the testing of the nuclear device. Why did she order it? Because in 71, she saw China was threatening to invade us. The Americans sent their 7th Fleet against us into the Bay of Bengal. And she's like, you know what? You are not going to threaten me next time. I am going to go nuclear. She called it very euphemistically, peaceful nuclear explosive. How is a nuclear explosion?
So you're
ever
saying we had a
peaceful?
nuclear test in the 70s?
74.
Ah, okay. So you already enriched uranium by then?
Yeah. Look, we technically, if we wanted, we could have gone nuclear even by about 64, 65.
Really?
Yeah.
And so we announced it in 98. We get it in 98.
No.
properly.
In 74, we announced it the very next day.
Okay.
We said, we called it the Smiling Buddha and we conducted the test.
Okay.
It was very public. We claimed it was not a weapon. We claimed it was that is a nuclear explosive that doesn't have all the casing and everything so that an aircraft can drop it, which was complete rubbish. It was a fully weaponized device, apparently.
In the
Yep.
70s.
In the 74.
Guys, trust me, I cannot give you the beauty of this conversation in just this one clip. If you like this clip, then you have to go to our main channel and subscribe to it and press the bell icon because we post some amazing conversations for you on that channel.